MultiGreen, building attainable, sustainable, and tech-enabled multifamily real estate through impact investing.
Welcome to the MultiGreen podcast. I'm your host, Randy Norton, and today, internationally acclaimed CNNMoney Switzerland correspondent, Ana Maria Montero, will continue the conversation with me as we learn more about MultiGreen. Enjoy our conversation. Ana Maria, thank you for coming back for one more episode. There is so much to cover, and I am going to turn the mic back over to you because I am in the hot seat.
Again. And now, this time it's really going to get hot, Randy, because the big question today that I want everybody to walk away with is, who are you?
Oh, my goodness.
No pressure. I mean, as we mentioned in our previous episode, we talked a lot about MultiGreen, and we talked a lot about what you're doing with the company and then where that comes from. And presently and officially, you are the founder and chairman of MultiGreen. So, but for those people that are joining us for the first time, it's a real estate development and operating company that specializes in sustainable housing. And I want to use that as a launching point. I mean, what does one do in these roles that you have? Like, walk us through a day in the work life of Randy Norton at MultiGreen.
As the founder and the creator of MultiGreen in many ways, it's been a team effort. Really, the team at IX in New York, they are waking me up. It's my very first call every single morning at about 6 a.m. And I finish my day typically around 8 to 10 p.m. just with calls here on the West Coast. And it's that way, and it's going to continue to be that way until we can properly staff up and get all the team members trained. But what's really fun here is overseeing and being intentional about how our capital is being deployed and getting everybody's talents and skill sets, implemented and cast in the right position. And we have really surrounded ourselves with the best people in the business at every level of our operations. And I'm really excited to interview them throughout the year. But if you want to know more about me, it all goes back to when I was a kid. And my family, specifically my mom and dad, are originally from Southern California. I was raised in Utah. And now I am living in Henderson, Nevada with my wife, Delani, and my two children, Taylani and Edison. But growing up, I came from a family of 7. So it was a really big family. My father, he was not an Austrian sea captain, and my mother was not a nun.
So no singing?
No singing, but I love to sing. And my father, he was this small business owner managing and maintaining commercial office and residential rental properties. And my mother was the household CEO. And so we were not the Von Trapp family singers, if that's how you say it, but rather we were the Norton family builders. And what that meant was my very first job was at the age of 4. I remember being a part of the family business. Everybody was participating. I joke around with my dad that he should be reported for child labor law infringement because I was too young. But I remember, many squeegees and mops later, my brothers, hanging from many stories above the ground, throwing tools at each other. I was running teams like this and, various crews as young as the age of 12 and 16 and pulling all-night shifts at the age of 18. And that is the background to my understanding of how buildings work. And really, I learned accountability. And this was the most important lesson I learned in my first family office. And remember, Ana Maria, real estate is some of my favorite things.
Well, before we get to the family office, though, tell me, so you were working in the family business until you were a teenager, or you continued that and you went during university, or where did you go to school? What did you do?
So I did all of that manual labor until I was in high school. And then right after high school, I went to South Korea to serve a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so I was a missionary for 2 years, and okay. I love kimchi. and Korean barbecue.
I love it.
And next time you're in Las Vegas, we're going to take you to a great new spot that I just found.
Oh my gosh, can't wait.
And so at BYU, I came back from my mission. I went to BYU. I double majored in Korean and business and finance emphasis. And while at BYU, I was a teacher's assistant to Lee Daniels, who was the CEO of AT&T Asia and one of the managing partners at Newbridge Capital, which was a large private equity shop there. And he told me, I don't know if this is true or not, but I was one of his favorite students, and he asked if I would be his first analyst at his fund. And we grew the business, and I went back to school after that and studied at the Harvard Graduate School of Design, where I first learned about really the affordable housing crisis. And that was during the global financial crisis, about 2008 or 2009 or so. And while there, that was when I first read Alice Schroeder's book on Warren Buffett called The Snowball. And really that book did more for me than any other book. It was the one that taught me about Warren Buffett and value investing. And now I'm looking at my library and I have hundreds of books on Warren Buffett and all things value investing. And really, I learned about the affordable housing crisis during the last financial crisis. And it was at that time where I wanted to make a difference. It just took me another 10 years to figure out how to do it.
I wonder for you, you were hands-on your whole life. And then you went to school and you became an analyst. And now it seems like such a switch. Do you miss, or do you still get out there and build things?
What's really interesting is now at MultiGreen, it is allowing me to get more into the hands-on role again. For the last 20 years, I've been in the asset management business and advancing funds and allocating capital to people who were using our capital to create value. And now at MultiGreen, we're, I think, being more intentional with our capital. I think our operations will be more efficient, and we're over-investing in our infrastructure so that we can do it right. Most operators don't have that luxury, so I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, that sounds like you might just get the opportunity to grab a hammer at some point again and hang from some rafters or something.
And I wouldn't mind.
All right. So you mentioned that you are also a father. You have your own family.
Yes.
How old are your children?
My daughter is 22 and my son is 6 years old.
So with your 22-year-old, you can really talk about things that matter to you and things that are important. What are you telling her?
I'm telling her to get all of the education that she can get. She is currently at university studying construction management.
Look at that. Are you serious?
She wants to come back into the family business here at MultiGreen, but I also am encouraging her to explore other topics and finance specifically, maybe accounting.
Oh, okay.
And she really wants to do construction management. So right now she is a part of our team, and she's spending some of her part-time effort here. And it's all about education here in this home. And I really hope that she can stay focused long enough to accomplish her dreams. And a lot of it right now is driven around educational goals.
And the 6-year-old?
Yes, his goal is to finish Challenger. He's in Challenger right now, and it is a school here locally that is actually open during COVID-19. And Edison and Talani, my children, they love to travel with me. And whenever I do, I usually take them to, some of the top universities in any city that we go to. And currently Edison's favorite university is Stanford. And,
where it all began.
That's correct. And so it's fun to see Edison's perspective on all of this.
Yes, that's fascinating. I mean, you have two different generations that you can talk to. That's also very interesting.
Yeah, I have the bookends. I have a 22-year-old and a 6-year-old, and it's more than I can handle. I'll tell you that. And
what about the rest of your family? Do you still work together with them? Is there cooperation there?
Yeah, it's a good question. The family that I was raised in, they're still located throughout various locations in the United States. That business is still going. I don't do anything with it. And, I frequently call my dad and, ask about specific memories, and we laugh. And it's just so fun to, have this come full circle. And the other day, my daughter, she called my dad and said, "Has Randy always been, like this hardworking?" And my dad said, "You don't understand. This isn't work to Randy. He loves it." And I there's a lot of truth to that. I love to work.
Well, I think you are so fortunate to be able to say that and to really say that what you do is not work. I mean, it sounds like it's a passion.
Very few people get to go to work and tap dance, and I get to do that. I love what I do. It's not a job at all, and I get to work with some of the very best people and families in the world.
And to those people that are looking to also be able to say that at some point in their lives, I really love what I do. What would you say to them? What's your advice?
I think if you follow your passion, as long as it's not a hobby, I mean, your hobbies can become obviously your job, but follow your passion and you become an expert at what you're passionate about doing. And when you become an expert and you then become a specialist, the market will pay you for that expertise and that specialization. One of the things that my professor, one of my very last professors taught me, he said, and he was an economist professor. It was U.S. economic history, and it was one of my favorite classes of all time. And I went up to him after class, and after the final exam, I said, "Okay, that was officially the hardest class I've ever taken. What do you want me to remember from this class?" And he said, "Randy, remember one thing: specialize, specialize, specialize." And I thought about it for a second, and he said, "Those that specialize, will be rewarded in the marketplace." And I think that would be my advice to my daughter and anybody else who's listening.
In our previous conversation, we did talk a lot about MultiGreen and sustainability, attainability, and tech enablement, the key components for you there. But I want to know from Randy, why do you care about these things?
Well, I want to make the world a better place, first of all. But when I lost money in trying to make the world a better place, I was that much more determined to figure it out. It really bothered me. Because here I am as a capital allocator and an asset manager, and I knew better. Rule number 1 is never lose money. Rule number 2 is to remember rule number 1. And I broke it. Okay. And I think the reason why this industry is so ripe for disruption is because very few families and very few investors can play the long game. The second you make a mistake, typically you're fired. And if those that are in your support group or within your capital base are willing to take the long game and be intentional about over-investing in infrastructure and getting it right, I think that is the first thing you have to have culturally. And so we now have that. And I just feel it incumbent upon me that now that I know what I know from the asset management space, as well as from my background in being in real estate and construction and building maintenance, it's this perfect confluence of experience and events that have put me in the position that I am today. And I think because of that, I have a very unique perspective that I can share with both the investor stakeholder, the lender stakeholder, and anticipate the future family that's going to be living in these residences. And, I'm young enough to make this a really long run, and very few people are ever in that position in life. So at the end of the day, I'm a cheerleader for the underdog. I really want to make a difference in the world, and my little contribution will be constructing at least 40,000 of these type of units here in the United States.
It sounds like it's all about paying it forward.
I've been very much a recipient of many that have gone before me. And I always tell IX and the team members there that I feel like we're standing on the shoulders of giants, and it is now our turn. It is our time to pay it forward, and it's the right thing to do.
Randy, I really, really enjoyed this conversation. Very insightful and inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're very welcome, Ana Maria. Thank you for being on. Ana Maria, before we say goodbye, we are going to end each podcast with 2 questions. May I ask those questions to you?
How can I say no? Yes, please.
Wonderful. So the first question is, it's a word association play. In the spirit of MultiGreen, what are some of your favorite green things?
Kermit, broccoli, my mother's eyes. How many do I get?
I think those are great. Did you say Kermit the Frog?
Okay. Yes.
Oh, he's my favorite, Sesame. Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. And I have one last question, and that is this. It is 2020. We have just officially launched from Davos, Switzerland with you at the World Economic Forum. And MultiGreen has committed to improving the state of the world by constructing 40,000 attainable, sustainable, tech-enabled multifamily homes. If you had one wish for MultiGreen, what would it be?
I would say that you really play the long game and go more than 40,000 homes, because there are so many places around the world that could benefit from that.
Ana Maria, I can commit to that. I'm going to play the long game, and let's see if we can do this abroad.
I can't wait. I'll be here.
All right, Ana Maria, I'll see you in Davos.
All right, I'll see you then.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening. Join us as we build 40,000 attainable, sustainable, and tech-enabled multifamily homes by 2030. And if you like the content you're hearing, hit the subscribe button. Follow us at Think MultiGreen and sign up to learn more at www.multi.green.